Hello everyone, it's Big Bopper here with another malifaux batrep. This was a 50 soulstone game. The strategy was turf war. This is my opponent's crew. He decided to take guild, and so he took Sonnia. She had the badge of office and reincarnation upgrade. Francisco with Wade in. The student of conflict there is actually meant to be that he's proxying for the purifying flame. He's got a death marshal, Samuel without any upgrades, and 3 witchling stalkers. So his plan is just to push in the middle, clog it up with Witchling Stalkers. With the reincarnation upgrade, anything that dies with burning within a 10-inch aura of Sonnia will come back as a Witchling Stalker. So he was actually got a bit of a summoning crew there, which is good. And Sonnia can hang back and throw her fiery blasts. Francisco can get stuck in and do what he needs to do. Yeah, it was a well-built crew. For his schemes, he took Assassinate, and he also took Unannounced Line in the Sand. This is my crew. I decided to go with Tara, so I took Tara with the 3 upgrades you normally take with her, so Dead of Winter, Knowledge of Eternity, and Obliteration Symbiote. I also took 2 Void Wretches, a Death Marshal, a Rotten Bell, the Nothing Beast, and Killjoy. Look, for Turf War, I wanted to use Tara. At the time, I thought probably not the best choice out of Reses for Turf War. Yeah, but anyway, for my schemes, I thought I'd take Assassinate. I thought if I could get Killjoy into Sonnia, that would be a lovely thing. And I also took, oh, what was the other thing I took? Oh, Plant Explosives. Apologies about that, just a mental blank. Yeah, I took Plant Explosive because it's relatively easy to do. Turf War, you're going to be crowding into one area. So I thought, oh, why not give it a go? My opponent won deployment and he chose to deploy first. This was standard deployment as well. So coming up here is my deployment, just quickly. That swamp with a tree is actually just another forest. I didn't have enough forest things. So Nothing Beast, Death Marshal next to him to bury, Tara there to give the Nothing Beast fast before he gets buried. And then I thought I'd just push Tara forward and, you know, at the right time, unleash the beast and hopefully do some damage. The way I set up the board, so I set it up, was that there really wasn't a lot of terrain in the center. I sort of set up like a Stonehenge type setup, and a marker for Turf War was in the middle, but it allowed fantastic line of sight, which I think worked against me. But that's my own fault, really. But anyway, it was a fun game. So on the left flank, I got the Void Wretches in the forest because they're not affected by severe terrain, and my Rotten Bell that I was hoping to lure something juicy in, and maybe give out slow. Lure on them is very good. A casting of 8 is really nasty, but there's the ability to hand out slow is quite nice as well. I think it might be a bit underrated personally. So this is my friend's deployment. As you can see, Death Marshal on his right. Sonnia, Francisco, Samuel, Witchling Stalker, Purifying Flame, and in a moment you'll see right out on the right flank the other Witchling Stalker. So he had everything spread out to be able to do the line in the sand. Line in the sand unannounced is tricky because your opponent can usually pick what you're doing, and you need to get at least 4 scheme markers down before you even get a couple of points from it. So unannounced especially is tricky, and usually you have to be dominating the game. This guy who's I'm facing is quite an aggressive player, so guild works really well for him. So this is the end of turn 1. Death Marshals pushed out to the side. As you can see, the Stalkers from this picture have pushed into the center. They're just he's trying to dominate the area. Lead with the Stalkers. If you lose them, well, hopefully you can bring them back via reincarnation off an enemy model. So there's his opening move. I haven't yet guessed he's done line in the sand, but he's all set up with it for that Death Marshal. Death Marshal are really good for those objectives. In the center, you see Sonnia, Samuel. Behind that big rock is actually Francisco with another Witchling Stalker, and the Purifying Flames pushed right up in the center. He likes to really push it up in his opponent's face, and they have to deal with it, and can put burning on things, and then Sonnia and Samuel can go to town. I've heard people say that the guild totems aren't that great, but my opponent actually really likes the Purifying Flame. It suits his aggressive play style, and it forces your opponent to react to it. The fact that it's incorporeal means that it's not that easy to take down unless you've got casting actions that can do damage. And in my crew, I did not. So there you can see that malifaux marker is indicating where the turf war marker is. So he's really set up nicely for the end of, well, for the beginning of turn 2 to put his authority on. As you can see there's Francisco behind the rock. I took a lot of photos early on, so you know, I thought I'd put him up. He's finding Francisco to be really good in guild, and I have to agree. You know, when he starts within 2 inches of a friendly model, he can use him +2 willpower, +2 defense. So Sonnia was looking at defense 6 and a willpower of 9 that turn. So assassinate was not looking that easy anymore. So Tara, you know, did a reactivate. I'm still working out how to use this girl. I find her frustrating and quite limiting at times. So the Void Wretches are pushed up. We're hugging whatever little bit of cover that I decided to put out in the centre of the board. I wasn't too worried about Tara because I thought, oh, you know, with her through the hole trigger, shooting shouldn't affect her. But I forgot that while Sonnia's ranged attack is a ranged attack, it's a casting attack, not a shooting. And I think Sonnia actually managed to get just a little bit of damage on on Tara this turn. So already I was on the back foot, not feeling very confident, second guessing myself, and you know, I really wasn't sure what to do, especially with Tara's second activation. I mean, a second activation I think is potentially really powerful, but you've got to have a sound plan to know what you're going to do with it, otherwise it's just wasted. My Rotten Bell pushed up. I can't remember, behind some cover. I don't think she lured anything. Death Marshal staying in cover. He's buried the Nothing Beast. And I'm just deciding what to do with him. I find Death Marshal's pretty fragile, despite the hard to wound. With 5 wounds and 5 defense and 6 wounds, they're pretty easy to kill. So this is the end of turn 2. What I managed to do is I decided to push the Death Marshal up. Francisco shot him and flipped a red joker for damaging, one-shotting him. So the Nothing Beast had to come out, and so he came out where I didn't really want him to come out. So I pushed him up. He did some damage to you can't see it, it's hidden behind him, but a Witchling Stalker. That little Necropunk is representing another Witchling Stalker. A Void Wretch got burning on it and then died and got reincarnated back. So already the Reza Master is being out-rezzed by Sonnia. Bit embarrassing, really. And you know, I moved the Witchling Stalker in there to try and just compete for Turf War. I think I have something else within 6 inches of that marker, so I get my point for Turf War, but already it's looking like an uphill battle. I've got no way of bringing model back, and with a Nothing Beast and especially Killjoy, I've put a lot of points into 2 models. And, you know, they really need to get their points back and create some damage. This is him being aggressive with the Purifying Flame. The Purifying Flame actually moved next to Tara to try and give her a bit of burning, but I lured it away into my Rotten Bell. The Rotten Bell attacked it and flipped a red joker for damage, which, because of the Purifying Flame's incorporeal, it was still left on 1 wound. Death Marshal has moved out on the right flank, or my left flank, and has already placed a scheme marker for Line in the Sand. And as you can see, there's my Void Wretch next to the card box, dead. Bit disappointed already. Another thing that I'm really struggling with is, you know, just, yeah, the Void Wretches and the Nothing Beast went to discard cards when not to. So as you can see, this is the end of turn 3 and things are getting really crowded. Tara was able to bury the Nothing Beast and then bring him out, and he went into Francisco. I got 2 or 3 attacks off of Francisco, but really didn't do a lot. His Soulstone prevented damage, and my attacks weren't that great. I brought Killjoy out, and he went into a Witchling Stalker. What a waste, but, you know, I wasn't thinking properly, and my opponent had me on the back foot, so well done to him. Killed a Witchling Stalker. Probably the highlight of this game was that Void Wretch cheekily moving in and placing down a plant explosive marker, and that other Whistling Stalker move around the back just to get everything in. Killjoy's already taken some damage. You know, for such a high point Soulstone model, really his only defense is Black Blood, which was spraying damage onto my Void Wretch as well every time a Witchling Stalker attacked, and also his Terrifying 13. I find that he goes down a bit too easy. Sonnia and Samuel moved up, and I think also a Witchling Stalker charged Tara this turn and started to do a bit of damage. You know, Sonnia, my opponent at this stage, saying Sonnia's not really doing a lot. You know, she got a bit of burning out, but a lot of her shots weren't landing, or she was randomizing into combats and hitting her own things, and I pointed out at this stage, really, he didn't need her to do much. He was certainly winning the turf war struggle, and had me under a lot of pressure. Tara has moved back there. Really, most turns I feel like Tara doesn't do a whole lot. I'm sure there are better ways to be using her, and I haven't given up on her. But as I said, I find her frustrating, and I find her restricting at times. You do one thing and you can't use it again, and you know, you're always tempted to be reactivating, and yeah, she's awkward. She might have actually taken out a Witchling Stalker. Purifying Flame still engaged with the Rotten Bell. Not much else is happening. I think the Rotten Bell actually lured Tara back to safety. So lure is really nice for getting models out of trouble as well. This is the end of turn 4, and you can see that Killjoy is dead. One of those Witchling Stalkers did severe damage 5 on him and just put him down. So at this stage, you know, as a Reza player, I don't know if I'll ever be taking Killjoy again with Tara. I just don't think he's worth his points. For that amount of points, I could have got a Dead Rider. Not that I have the model, but I could have proxied it, and I think it would have done a lot better. But the Void Wretch is now down to 1 wound. The Nothing Beast only has a couple of wounds there. He's hanging in. I had Defense 9 on him a few times. But that's the problem with that, I find, is you've got no cards in hand, so you can't ever cheat in duels. And Defense 9 is great until you flip a 3 for your defense flip. And then it doesn't really matter. Yeah, the Wretches and the Nothing Beast defense thing, you're tempted to throw out cards, but then it ends up biting you normally. Oh, I'm sounding a bit whingy, really, aren't I? I did enjoy the game, but I just find them fiddly models to use. I mean, the potential that a fast Nothing Beast can have 4 attacks, you know, I've seen it do some really nasty damage. I've taken out Lilith with it before. This is the end of turn 5. That Necropunk is representing Tara. The other thing that happened in this game, I only won 1 initiative, even with the whole game, even with the positive flips. And this was a crucial initiative. I only had 1 wound left on Tara. Sonnia was in range, so it was really my fault leaving Tara there. I lost the initiative. Sonnia activates, blows Tara up, turns her into a Witchling. The blast actually puts burning. She gets some blast, puts burning onto my Rotten Bell, who's behind that wall, because she, you know, the first blast marker doesn't have to be placed. It can be placed 2 inches away, so that's very nasty. Then Sonnia, with a second activation, did another fiery burst at my Nothing Beast, killing him and putting the blast onto my Void Wretch, killing it, and also bringing out another Witchling Stalker. So we've had about 5 or 6 Witchling Stalkers out here. So he's well and truly in a dominating position. At this stage, my opponent said, "Look, let's call the game." I said, "Yeah, Francisco hasn't activated yet. He could easily push Samuel into range to rapid fire the Rotten Bell with burning on her, and you know, minimum 4 damage on those shots. The Rotten Bell would just be gunned down." So essentially, I was tabled in this game. My opponent got points for Assassinate. It happened on turn 5. Oh yeah, it happened turn 5, so he would have only got 2 points for it. I put down that it was a 9-5 loss to me, but actually it was 9-6 loss to me. Oh, so much more respectable. I just said, yeah, look, you're going to get your enough scheme markers down to get your 2 points for Line in the Sand. You got your 2 for Assassinate, and you've got your 4 for the strategy. So this is what happens. My opponent has given a very good example of building the proper crew for the strategy, having a firm plan in your mind about how you're going to complete your strategy and schemes, and then not turning away from your plan. Very good example of, you know, he played with confidence, he played aggressively, he used Guild the way I think he should, and it resulted in a win to him and a loss to me. So really it was 8-5 to me. To him. I managed to get the 3 point. What really saved me was a 3 point on Planned Explosives, and I got 2 points on Turf War. Planned Explosives is very easy to get. So for this strategy for Rezzes, Tara is not. I think she's not the right choice. I think Nicodem can do it better. I think any of the other Rezzes Masters can actually do it better than Tara. I haven't given up on Tara. The next game I'm playing with her will be purely Reza. I'm not going to bother with the distraction of the Void Wretches and the Nothing Beast. And it means I can get Eternal Journey on her and see if that makes a difference as well. Anyway, it was a fun game. Congratulations to my opponent. He played a very solid game. As I said, a great example of having a plan, sticking to it, and having a good idea about how to complete all your objectives. He was very methodical about it, and it was fun. Anyway, guys, see you next time.